It does seem like the Sims team is staying strong with over 150 bug fixes coming November 4th, and the reason that this was so shocking is because the face of this is SimGuru Ninja. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with SimGuru Ninja, he actually left the Sims community quite some time ago when he got recent backlash, unfortunately, from the Life and Death EP with not having seasons, but we'll get all into that later on in today's video. Of course, everything is going to be timestamped, but this does have a lot of Simmers questioning, is this all because of the EA buyout deal? Now, again, before I get into any of that, I do want to say, what is up, guys? My name's Yen. My name is Yen. I play The Sims. Did you see what I did there? And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. We cover all things simulation news. So if you have something you want me to cover, go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. And of course, everything will be linked down below in the description box for anything that you guys want to look up yourselves. Now, with that being said, we do know that the Sims 4 team had recently issued saying that on November 4th, there will be a big update coming to The Sims 4 that include over 150 fixes and fresh freebies. They did say more details will come, and we did end up getting that information, and it does look like they are fixing some of the top 5 most voted issues, base game issues, DLC issues, and I'm talking they are going in. Now, a lot of Simmers have been saying that they're only doing this because unfortunately a lot of the EA, creator network Simmers are leaving, such as Little Simsy, James Turner, Plumbella. A lot of them have came out with statements recently stating that they will no longer be participating in the EA creator network, and that this is actually putting a fire under EA's ass. But I would love to know your opinions down below in the comments, because shortly after that EA buyout controversy with EA creators leaving, they ended up dropping this. SimGuru Ninja was the face of this, aka Dave, who's a senior production director. Now, he was one of the most talkative ones when it came down to not only the community but the Sims team, and just being kind of that middleman of stating what we wanted more in the game, and he would talk back with us. Unfortunately, there was so much backlash regarding the Life and Death EP that he did decide to step away from just the spotlight in general and communicating with the community. So again, this was a real big shocker, because a lot of Simmers were not expecting SimGuru Ninja to come on and just be the face of this, especially because it's such a controversial time right now with the Sims 4 in general. So I do feel like them bringing him on is just so important to talk about, because again, the SimGurus are linked between devs and the community, and after the Life and Death expansion pack caused controversy, particularly around the features and the cross-pack compatibility, I felt like this was very interesting that they decided to use him as the main source of the face of it. Again, he did end up leaving the SimGuru, era of at least over on Twitter. He's still on Bluesky, but we'll get into that in just a second. But, SimGuru Ninja's appearance in socials is it's shocking a little bit, just because I haven't seen it for so long and I haven't been that active over on Bluesky. And it also raises questions about how much communication is genuinely from the devs versus, community. So I would love to know your opinions down below, but we're going to get into a couple of Simmers tweets in regards to this message that they did state out about the over the 150 bugs, and let me know down below in the comments how you guys feel about this as well. One Simmer ended up stating, Sims 4 devs, I feel you're making a hyper complex game, and no matter how hard you try, the vocal reactions are negative to the point of bullying. I don't know how you manage, and I would have gotten so depressed, changed careers. It might be passion powering you. Keep it up. I would love to know your opinions on how you guys feel about that situation as well. We're also going to get into the very next Simmers conversation, where they ended up stating that not only about the Sims 4 developers, but also just in general regarding the 150 bug fixes, because a lot of people are skeptical about this. Someone even stated, like, we haven't heard that before, and that is coming from when the Sims community, which we're going to get into in just a little bit, because I do want to talk about this, we talked about technical issues and how they were going to be fixing the game. Another Simmer ended up saying, mad respect for the developers and folks keeping the lights on, but the fact that this only been prioritized after enough pushback and priorities have been shameless DLC pushes, it's a little too late to earn back trust. Someone said, why would you hype up the bare minimum? Yes, the game you sell should work properly. And again, this is bringing a lot of skepticism towards a lot of Simmers. Someone else said, the real problem is the fixes are supposed to focus on top voted bugs, but yet some of them have been ignored for over 2 years. Only now there will be changing. Or is this just patching the wound for a few days? I want to talk about why a lot of Simmers are skeptical about this. And first, I think it's not the first time, a major promise has been made and the community remembers past statements about dedicated teams or roadmaps, which didn't always plan out to what the players felt like they, what was needed. And I do feel like many of the fixes are for smaller or like surface level bugs. So I do understand why a lot of simmers are very frustrated at this situation, because it does look like it's like, really, like, come on now, like, we've heard this before. And I kind of agree. We've seen it. We've seen them make promises and then didn't deliver. We've seen it even with the refreshes with Spa Day and how they promised us we're going to be getting refreshes, and we haven't seen one since then. And I do want to quickly talk about my last reason, and there's a feeling among, like, longtime players that, the core of the game still has gaps. And they said that they were going to fix that. They said they were going to, bring this in. And it just feels a little, I'm not going to say they're not going to follow through with fixing the game. I'm just stating, and then they have been keeping up. I do want to say that they have been, dropping, monthly updates of packs fixes, but it's nothing to fix the core of the game. I'm hoping this 150 bug fixes will fix a lot of the issues that have been going on. But again, it's just something that I'm curious to hear your opinions down below in the comments on. I do want to particularly talk about one tweet that I did see in regards to the situation, talking about, oh, we've heard this before. And that's talking about when they came out with a statement, a message to our loyal community, and this is when they talked about technical issues in the game. They did state that we share that we have assembled a team to invest in the core game experience, including tackling reported concerns, and the first release was back in May 2024, and since then, I will say they have been keeping up, but I wouldn't say the core of the game. I would love to know your opinions down below in the comments about that. They did say, thank you for continuing to play and invest in The Sims 4, and our team is more than dedicated than ever to developing a great Sims 4 gameplay experiences. Now, with that being said, I do want to quickly state that a lot of people are skeptical about the situation, because they did say, are they only doing this because a lot of the EA Creator Network is leaving? A lot of simmers are leaving and have left since the buyout deal controversy, and I do agree. It does look a little funny that they are finally, fixing the quote-unquote core of the game after all these issues. They did state that they are going to be talking more about this over on Discord today. So again, let me know down below in the comments, have you guys been involved in their Discord? I do want to quickly talk about SimGuru Ninja though, because I am happy to see that he is still posting. I think that the Twitter space was just a little negative for him, so he decided to move over to Bluesky. I do have a Bluesky account with the Simians, and I'll link that down below in the description box if anyone wants to go ahead and follow me over there. But SimGuru Nova and SimGuru Bat has not tweeted anything. I did go ahead and take a look and see if any of the other SimGurus. All I could find was SimGuru Ash over on Bluesky. So it is, but she hasn't posted. So overall, it is very, very interesting to see that, they have decided to just move away from Twitter and just more over onto Bluesky, because they do seem like, it's more of like a positive vibe. I would love to know your opinions. Do you guys agree on that platform being a little bit more positive over not only for the Sim Gurus, but just Simmers in general? I do want to get into my thoughts and opinions before I go ahead and wrap this video up. And I definitely want to say that I think there are genuine devs behind the scenes who really do love and care for the game. And mind you, they don't necessarily control, corporate decisions and budgets and ownership. So I feel like they just got caught in the crossfire of it all. I do feel like they can be outspoken, and a lot of, them have been. A lot of Max's employees have gone to signing petitions and starting petitions and, basically saying, I don't agree with this, but at the end of the day, this is my job. This is how I feed my family, and I truly do love The Sims. And I think that's why The Sims is coming out with this statement, not EA for The Sims. EA itself is, its own thing, but, Max's is unfortunately under that umbrella. And until they're their own studio, they are tied to EA's decisions. So I do feel for the developers who truly do love this game like I do. I really do love The Sims, and it's just an unfortunate, that the one game that I do love, it's right under, a horrible corporation that doesn't really care about creativity and quality, but just more of quantity and, how can we bring in the big bucks? So it is interesting to see overall that, and I would love to know your opinions down below in the comments on how you guys feel about this. And I think where the franchise is going and where it's moving forward to, I do feel like they are trying to, navigate a situation of where, like, we're still The Sims, y'all. It's not just, we don't have any, control over what's going on. We can only control the game. And they're like, instead of people lashing out on, The Sims, just you know, we're still going to try and be the core game experience that you wanted, and, you know, fight for the representation and diversity. So I would love to know your opinions about everything. What you guys think about it, and as far as, you know, SimGuru Ninja making a comeback, and as well as just in general what the Sims team had to say about fixing over 150 bugs. You know, that's good news. So it shows that the developers are listening and acting, but, you know, I feel a lot of players, you know, being skeptical because, you know, they promised deeper, lasting changes and have been unfulfilled. So I see both sides. And, you know, I feel like in the wider context, creators leaving the network, you know, and from the EA buyout, I just feel like it's just, I don't know. They are in a pickle. I do feel like the Sims team is like, damn, like, no matter what we do, it should have been done, or it's because of EA. And it's like, Anyway, so do you believe the developers team can rebuild trust with this community, or do you think, you know, the damage has been too deep? I want to know your opinions down below in the comments. Of course, my channel's never been one to shy away from stating how you really feel. So let me know and give it to me full of how you truly feel about the state of The Sims 4 and whether or not you think the 150 bugs are going to fix the game. And yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up because it truly does help out my channel. And whether you're a silent viewer, you like my videos, you comment my videos, or you share my videos, at the end of the day, you still showed me some love, and for that, I thank you. I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye!